Greetings, everyone. We are here to respond to your questions and comments that were posted previously. You are free to post your questions or comments now so that we have a discussion around the documentation and on other related issues. I am Ngabuto Nicholas Mabena. Please like this video, subscribe to this YouTube channel. Comrade Edward Moyo writes reacting to the ZEP court, which concluded on Friday. He says, in order to resolve this madness noise, let's tell our fellow friends, families to stop voting for ZANU-PF. SADC countries must not go against opposition parties. They must check where the problem is lying. Let's stop fighting, guys. Well, I partially agree with you, but it goes beyond the removal of ZANU-PF from power because the issue is more economical. It's the nature of our society in Zimbabwe. That is to say, the economic fundamentals that are in place. There is no appetite from, say, the main opposition party to change the economic dynamics in Zimbabwe if they were to come to power. They will follow the liberal path, which has destroyed our economy. Remember, it was the IMF and the World Bank that advised the government in 1991 to abandon national planning in favor of the neoliberal policies. And it is clear that even if ZANU-PF were to go in 2023, we will not go back to national planning. It means our consultations with the IMF and the World Bank will intensify. As we have seen over the years, the remedy from the IMF and the World Bank is not working. What we need, Comrade Edward Moyo, while we indeed vote for the alternative, we need to go back to national planning so that we're able to build a national democratic economy. Greetings, Comrade Mbusi Sitole. Comrade Noel Mkandla writes, Advocate Chitando really embarrassed himself and all those who had faith in him. We hope he heals soon. His conduct will greatly dent his reputation, thus, if he had any. We hold a different view because we do not have enough information. What we know is that an advocate is instructed by the attorneys. So while there were discussions during the court case which Advocate Chitando was presenting, we do not hold the view that he embarrassed himself. He was able to try to put forward the amendments that he was pushing. Judgment is reserved on those amendments. Remember that he is asking the court, or his clients are asking the court to grant a permanent residence to holders of the Zimbabwe exemption permits. So while I hear you, comrade, what you are saying about him, and your views are also shared by African Enlightenment. He says, in all honestly, Simba Chitando is not a good lawyer. One wonders where he got his qualifications from. The guy needs to be investigated further because clearly he's a wannabe lawyer. I think in the last few weeks or few months, he won a big case. I can't remember what the case was all about. He won a big case. So I do not think that you judge an advocate based on one case like the case which was presenting. We need to check his record which his record is impressive. I might not agree with him on a number of issues, but I think he has an impressive record. Comrade Adolf Jamela Wright, my understanding is the court reserved judgment on the proposed amendment, but the prayer on PR still stands. The amendment is about terminology where court to be permanent residence was used in the heads of argument instead of to apply for. I'm not very sure, but I hear your point, comrade. Let's wait for the what the court is going to say, because I asked in one group because he had said they are abandoning prayer 3, and in one group where we're discussing following the case, I asked what was prayer 3. Then I was told that it was a PR. Uh, uh, um, and then Comrade, before I get to Comrade Nora Makubela, let me read what Comrade Oscar is writing. Oscar Spanda says, Mr. Mapena, as for a relative visa, I understand one needs a medical report. Is it the same as radiology? Can you help clarify? I'm not 100% sure. I'm not 100% sure. One needs to verify before misleading anyone. But I'm sure others that have gone through this process can assist in this platform. So let me not misleading you. Comrade Lisot says, I have learned that don't be too comfortable in a foreign country, because when that, I think there's some kind of the language there, I can't repeat the words that the comrade is writing. Otherwise, they will be referred back to me. But the point that he is making is that we should not be comfortable in a foreign country. We should. He is arguing that we must resolve issues in our own country. But also, comrade, you must understand that we come from this background, from a Marxist background, which says workers know no country. Ours is an international struggle, is a struggle against the capitalism. All these problems are a creation of a capitalist economy. So even if, let's assume, every country will not have a migrant, something that will never happen again. Every country will not have a migrant. It does not mean the country will resolve its economic challenges. So the issue is capitalism. If we do not transform our society, if we do not transform our economy from a capitalist economy to a socialist economy, we will always have these problems. And this is not peculiar to South Africa only. It is worldwide. So it's a class issue. It's a class struggle. So we must defeat capitalism and build a new order or an alternative, which is socialism. Comrade Beginkosi Ndlovu, right? What I know is that the main challenge was not presented as they were debating amendments for the Chitando matter. Mapena, what did you make of the minister's remarks? Uh, well, I have listened to the minister twice. First, he made those statements when he was responding to questions, when he was addressing a press conference, I guess in his offices in Pretoria. I then saw him again when he was in the studio. He was asked a similar question and he made similar comments. Then one gets the sense, based on the reaction by the minister, one gets the sense that their legal team did not argue in the manner in which they'd agreed that they should argue, meaning that the minister feels that their case is not watertight in terms of the presentation by their legal team. Initially, I had thought that his team was presenting a solid argument, until the minister said, no, 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 no. This is not what they'd agreed with their lawyers, and therefore they think what they agreed with their lawyers, and the minister going to an extent of saying that he could have done better if he represented himself. So one will then conclude that maybe the minister and his team think that the court case will not go their way. That would be my reading. Comrade Onias Tabani Nyati says, "Good evening, Duma. What can I do if they give me 8 days at the border if I'm waiting for my outcome?" If you are on ZEP waiting for your outcome, they give you days. There are two options. The first one is to ensure that the days do not lapse. That means you need to go to the nearest port of entry and get your days. Remember that you cannot apply online. It takes time for you to apply to have extension of days without going out of South Africa. So it's easier to go to the nearest port of entry, whether Botswana or Eswatini, get your passport re-stamped. It makes it easier. The second one is that you will have to wait for the 30th of June, because the way with the thing, the what you call the grace period expires on the 30th of June. So from the 1st of July, assuming the outcome is not out and it is not extended, when you get to the port of entry, you might be told that you overstayed, and that will then create problems. Uh, and then there are those that have been asking mainly on TikTok, those that are not documented, to say, is there a chance for them? There is a chance if you apply from your country of origin, and if you qualify for any other visa that is provided for in the Immigration Act. But if you are a person of low skill or a worker of low skill, there is no special arrangement. Remember that the ZEP was a special arrangement because the holders of ZEP will not qualify for other visas. This is why even now people are applying for waivers, because they do not qualify. So if you are at the same level, it means you will not be able to apply for a visa. That is the challenge that many people get. And there's Comrade Betty Mohugo. He is one comrade, and many other comrades that monitor this YouTube. And I'm actually impressed because they watch all the videos, irrespective of the comments that they pass. They are South Africans. They give themselves time to follow this YouTube channel, and we appreciate that. We appreciate, because ngesindebele sithi asingeke siye nganxe singasimanzi. So we cannot all of us go one direction and agree on everything. So she writes and says, I think it's a sheep. The name suggests it's a sheep, but if he's not a sheep, please, my apologies. It says, don't forget to tell them you have abandoned permanent residence. You are not South Africans. A South African, Comrade Betty, does not apply for a permanent residence. You become South African at birth. If you are born to South African parents, you become South African at birth. Just like I became Zimbabwean at birth, because I was born by Zimbabwean parents. I did not need to apply for permanent residence, because at birth I became a Zimbabwean, and then it was only later that I had to apply for a birth certificate. I think I applied for my birth certificate when I was about to write my grade 7. So I went to grade 1 up to around grade 7 without even a birth certificate. So my parents then went to apply for my birth certificate. So the reason why people are applying for permanent residence, and it's not a new thing. People do apply. It is provided for in the Immigration Act, Comrade Betty Mohobo, the permanent residence. So the question, therefore, which African Amnesty was raising, was that in their view, they believe that holders of Zimbabwe exemption permits, given the time they've spent in South Africa, they have a right to apply for a permanent residence. We'll hear what the court will say, but here you are also saying that they abandoned that prayer. And the one comrade, which I responded to earlier on, says he has a different understanding. But as I said, we will get uh, to the court judgment. The court is going to clarify all these matters. Comrade Pagami Sanindlov says, if kids overstay because parents can't travel, do they get any ban? Any person that is on a passport granted days, which is we call visitors visa, at the port of entry, if they stay beyond those days, they will have violated the Immigration Act. And the penalty, it's a ban. Remember, previously there was a fine, but now it's a ban. So this is what will happen in the most cases. Comrade Nomvelo Rinas Sihlahla writes, akuncedi next ukuzohlala la hlalani eZimbabwe. We wish we could stay in Zimbabwe, Comrade Nomvelo Rina Sihlahla. And I imagine that some of us, some years back, we were also of we're sharing your same view when we were seeing people from other countries coming to Zimbabwe, particularly in the early 80s after independence. We're wondering why they would not stay in their country. We're wondering why the economy in Zambia had deteriorated to that level at the time. I remember, I think it was 91, I visited Zambia. I couldn't believe that when I was carrying 200 Zim dollars at the time, when I changed, it was thousands in kwachas. So I couldn't understand why someone would buy a bedroom suit in millions when I went up to Lusaka. So I couldn't understand. But I now understand because I've I've at some point became a billionaire, poor billionaire in Zim dollars. So you don't imagine that what has visited others would visit you, would think it will be kept there. And I'm not in any way suggesting that this might actually visit South Africans themselves. No, I think South Africans have drawn lessons from all of us across the continent. And the one lesson that the ANC has mastered and which has kept the economy of South Africa going is the renewal of leadership inside the governing party itself. You will know that in the last 29, 28 or so years in South Africa, after the 1994 democratic breakthrough, you have heard about 4 presidents. So in a space of, say, 3 decades, you have had 4 presidents. That on its own is a renewal, which many countries in our continent has failed to do. Remember, we had Mugabe for 37 years. He did not want to go. The military had to intervene for him to go. There is no sign that President Emerson Mnangagwa is going to leave office. You heard in the Gold Mafia interview where Prophet Hubert Angel said he will only leave when his body is taken to his grave. So that is the fundamental problem that we have. There is no renewal in most of these countries. And some countries in the continent, it is the gun that removes leaders. We spent time, I think last year, when we were talking about the number of coups in Africa. But South Africa, through the ANC, it has followed a democratic path where it renews its leadership. And this has kept the economy of South Africa far, far much better than what other economies were 20 or 30 years after liberation. We're getting to conclude, comrades. Comrade HM writes, what about Aslam or refugee seekers? The Home Affairs isn't replying since reopening in 2021. Indeed, we are struggling. We've got many comrades from other African countries, even in Asia, where we've applied for Aslam to renew online. We are not at the moment getting assistance. We are trying our level best to get the Department of Home Affairs through its refugee reception office to attend to this matter. We have people that are applying for refugee IDs, they are not coming out. We have people that are applying for refugee passports are not coming out. We have people that are renewing their Asylum documents, they are having difficulties. We have people that applied 2 or 3 years ago for their permanent residence is not yet out. So there's a huge backlog, and that's this causing a huge challenge to many migrants that are in South Africa. Comrades, for your time. We hope we did manage to answer some of your questions. Keep them coming, and we appeal to those that you are also knowledgeable to assist in responding to questions that will be posted in this YouTube channel. Please subscribe, and have a great day ahead. Goodbye.